Hi, welcome back to another video by Dan and John, and we're back on the allotment and we're stood in the fruit cage. So if you've been watching the fruit cage videos, you'll see what we've done so far. So our next thing is we bought some more of this CLS. There's one bit there. We're going to creosote it, and one of the reasons we built our structure this way was, if you recall me saying about putting shelving in, so we could utilise this. If we've got the fruit bushes there, they're never going to get any higher than that because we won't allow them to. We can then put extra trays or pots on here. For example, they're not screwed in yet, but you can see the idea. Suddenly we've got twice as much space
because of the height of the cage. Is 2.4,
go
yeah.
up, tomatoes, etc. So that's why we're doing this. So this might give you a bit of an idea. If you're wondering why, and you might be, why I've got the wood this way, you just watch me press on it rather than that way. It's just stronger that way.
It's a lot stronger.
Just stronger. By the time we've got 3 or 4 of them on there, that'll be fine. So we've got another 15 of these.
Yeah.
If we just move outside, that's what I'm doing at the moment. Got them all together. Putting some of that creosote on.
That's the creosote we used for the main fruit bush, basically, the light oak.
I've done 5. You want to do 4 or 5. Bit of drying, it won't take long in the sun. And then really putting that shelving in is, you can see already, it looks, even without it installed, it is going to make a difference. We could use some pallet wood even to...
We could use, yeah, we've got some pallets, and we could use, as John said, we could use some wood on top just to strengthen it, make it look a bit nicer. So we'll think about that.
We'll have a look what we're going to do with that, but it definitely will give us more
verticality in terms of being able to grow, not just on the floor, be able to grow stuff up as well.
And the fruit cage will be a lot more flexible. The other thing that we thought of, which I think is quite a good idea, is really a bit of a hybrid fruit cage greenhouse. So if you had shelving like this, you could get those propagators,
the plastic propagators,
and just stick them on the shelving as well. You know, when your fruit season is over, to grow stuff in here, and we'll have a lot of space. We can have quite a bit of shelving. We can get shelving along there and there, but obviously not near the door.
Yeah, we've got to keep it away from this area here, like John says.
Look all right when we're done, and hopefully it works out for us. Just means that if we start finding that the local creatures, foxes and rabbits and whatever you like, start liking our stuff in the raised beds, we'll just move them in here and keep them safe. That's basically what we're doing, but we have got a bit of a solution for the raised beds as well, which we might make one up today.
We'll probably show you in maybe the next video. We're going to build like a frame that sits on top,
and then the frame you can raise
depending on what you've got growing in it.
Yeah. So
we'll get on with this. We'll creosote it, get it in place, and then we'll show you what it looks like.
And if you're wondering what that whistling is, it's the mesh. It's the mesh creating the.
It's like a whistling sound, isn't it?
Whistling sound, so which is unusual. But anyway, hope this gives you some ideas, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, so we've moved on a bit. We've got our shelving in there. Just show you what it looks like from the outside. It's all the same wood, no cutting, just creosoted to preserve. We've got these roofing batts here with some stainless steel screws. Very simple design. I'll show you inside in a minute. We've got slabs sorted. Need to get the water butts in the next few days. I don't know when that will happen. Probably in the next couple of videos. Got these vine eyes in. I have to speak up because it's windy. These just drilled and screwed just to keep these bags on the handles. Just gives us some verticality in this fruit cage, so we can have stuff below, stuff above, use the whole height. You can grow, to be honest, you could probably go about 20-30 fruit bushes in here. You grow a lot. So just got this wood like that as well. Not like that, it's small, secure like that. Doesn't move. And the next job we are doing is trying to add some security to these raised beds to stop animals from eating what we're growing in them.
So I've looked at a couple of options. You can make like 4 poster bed type thing where you have 4 posts, 2, 3, 4, and make a big frame. But the initial initial idea I had was to just make like a window frame, like here.
Yeah, so we'll show you what we mean by that.
2 bits there and 2 bits there. And the reason I would probably do that is that these raised beds are 1200 long and this CLS is 2.4, so
You
I
can
can
get 2 lengths out of it, yeah.
a top and a bottom if I wanted to. Excuse me.
Probably the creosote.
Tell you what, don't drink creosote at midday. But anyway, so what I'm thinking of doing is literally building a very simple frame, 2 sides and 2 ends, putting some wire mesh across because
We'll show you what wire mesh. It's the same as we use on a fruit cage.
because this is 900 wide and it will lend itself to go across and be bent round and attached nicely.
Yeah.
Now, because of the cost of stuff, I think these are about 20 quid each if you have to buy them.
The pallet collars are about £20 each. We don't really want to buy another one just to use it as like a top with the mesh. We want to kind of
So
do this.
most of these, apart from the peas which need to grow up, but most of these things we've got, we could just have additional frames and lift the wire mesh one up and just raise it on these so it's higher.
You could put like a piece of connecting wood just to stop
So it
things
just-
being
just-
knocked
just
off.
just lifts higher all the time.
Yeah.
So we can raise it up a bit. So some of these need just a basic frame and some will need something a little bit taller.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
So this is like one we're just going to try and put together.
Yeah.
Obviously we'll get rid of this support. We'll probably just unscrew and repurpose the wood. This was something we put in early days, weren't it?
We put that in because we just weren't aware of
We just thought we could grow
creatures.
things in here and it'd be all right. But
creatures, so many creatures.
as John says, there's too many creatures up here that like to just ravage things. We just can't take the risk.
So I think in essence we can have some very simple protection and then we're going to have some taller protection for things that grow high. It's as simple as that.
The other thing to note is, obviously we said we're using this mesh. We are actually probably going to use some type of plasticky mesh as well, just to, because this doesn't allow butterflies in. But the thing is, if a butterfly probably could get through there potentially and eat the lettuce that's over there. So we'll probably use some finer plastic mesh, won't we?
Yeah, so...
And this can all be watered as well, can't it, without even taking it off?
That's the good thing about it. So not only have you got furry creatures in your allotment,
You've got flying ones as well.
you've got flying ones as well. We're not anti-furry creatures or flying creatures, but we are fortunate to have plenty of bees around here. So
The bees are all right. They're all right.
I mean, the bees are doing their job.
The bees are all over the flowers.
I mean, if I could feed them, I would, because they are earning their keep, these bees. So that's a good thing. But it's just working out how to protect these quite simply, really.
So we're gonna make something. We'll see how it turns out.
There'll be 2 versions of this: one for tall plants and one for
One for small plants, smaller
low-level
things.
plants like lettuce and cucumber and things, and
Yeah.
anything that is particularly appetising to our furry
Friends.
creatures
Yeah.
will be going in the lockup.
Yeah, as John says, and as we've said in previous videos, anything that's particularly delicious to birds, badgers, foxes, etc., is in here, and that's actually why we built it in the first place. So, because we did have the fruit bushes out here, but it's not gonna work long term. And you can't have too much out here because they'll just have it a lot, won't they?
I mean, there are good badgers and bad badgers, and naughty badgers, and we've got some right naughty badgers.
the good badgers are the ones that never come anywhere near the allotment, and the bad ones are the ones that
But apparently they
come here and start.
just a word of warning. They can travel up to 15 miles a night. So you've got something good growing, they'll visit, and
Yeah. Really?
they
They
can
get
climb
about, don't they?
up to 5 feet, and their limbs are so strong they can pull through this mesh.
Yeah, they can pull through this chicken wire.
It wouldn't stop them. They love wasps. They'll dig down and eat wasps. It's just stuff we didn't know, and they're not bothered by prickly plants or anything. It doesn't worry them at all. So
So there we go.
it's a Game on.
So we'll build this and then we'll include this in the video.
Yeah.
Just in case you have got raised beds and you sort of realise that you need to add a bit of protection. We're trying to do it the simplest and the easiest way that gives us the maximum flexibility with what we're growing. Right, so we're in the process of putting the frame together. We're using the same right angle jig as we did with the actual fruit frame. Just a little bit of glue, single screw. Try and make sure when we put the stuff together it's nice and square.
So this is so useful, that's what we talk about, this jig all the time.
This is just the jig. We use this for the fruit frame, this one actually.
So good for getting things straight. So we're literally doing that every time. So just push that in there, tighten it up.
Just tying it up by hand and then it holds everything.
Danny's got a camera in his hand, so I'm going to just take over a minute. So that's it, and we're using 50 by 70 metres.
Oh yeah, sorry, 5 by 70 mil, yeah. So the heads on them are quite big and it's kind of stuff you'd want to use for this.
We're putting one hole in the middle there, look. I think that drill bit is about 4 mil, it's a wood drill bit.
And we just drill it so the wood doesn't split.
Right, and then we put
basically.
it in there. It's quite a big screw, it's 70 mil long. And that'll pull that together, and then we'll do the same. To be honest, when you get to the last one, it's fairly simple because it's locked itself in place anyway. But before I put that end screw in, I'd just like to say that these two side bits are 120 centimetres long, 1200 mil, and these middle bits are 71 centimetres long, and these are for pallet collars that were purchased from D&JHowTo.
Yeah, so they're
standard pallet collars.
So what we're building here,
Just
if you've got a
check.
similar thing, this will work on here as well.
So that's what I'm trying to say to you, really.
Yeah,
just
so-
to help you a little bit. So this time, because I'm coming to my end one, you can just pop a screw in there.
And we're using this Gorilla wood glue.
I would say that's one of the best wood glues about.
And it's got
if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's actually really good. It sets like cement. And the top is a thing where you can push it up and down to seal it.
Getting that in with the drill, wouldn't I? Yeah. So I'm going to try and just put this in without the clamp. There we go. Right, generally you can see when it's well in. Because you can see glue squeezing out like the bottom there. If you want to move your excess glue, either use your finger or a damp rag, basically. So that's one frame done. Then our next step is we're literally going to put some of that mesh over it, which is 900 mil wide. We're going to space it across there. And the easiest way that I spaced it is just count the squares. Roughly.
Yeah, because you can use the lines as like a guide.
So
Either side.
yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you get 5 squares over,
And we'll probably
and
fold
dust
it over then, won't
no,
we?
we will do, and we'll just tack it in, and that way you've got your netting to prevent your veg, your salad, stuff like that for real cheap, basically. And the other thing I was thinking about this is that because we had to buy 2 rolls because of the size of the fruit cage, you might as well use what you've got.
Yeah.
So it's using up what you've got as
Otherwise
well.
it's spare. Yeah.
And believe it or not, this CLS is cheaper than this.
Yeah.
This is £4 something length. This is £3.15. Obviously we're creosoting it. That's a little added extra expense, but it's sturdier. It's not going to go anywhere. So we'll make one up. In fact, we've cut enough just to make 2 up real quick. And now we know what the measurements are. So 1200, 710, 71, and
So as John says, we're going to make one up, and then we'll come. The final part of this sort of video today will be us just showing it,
just popping it on a raised bed.
Yeah, rather than this fleece stapled down.
And I guess the other thing is if you've got any spare CLS, a bit like wire mesh, you can use it to do something else with.
It's always handy having wood, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, okay. Right, so we've got our first protective top made, the rectangle, got the mesh going around the sides. And that's protecting the lettuce. I think it looks quite smart. Things can't get in here.
Right, so just
come around this way.
Yeah, just a word, just so we know this is perfectly square, this frame we've made, because we've lined it up in the jig and that. But just bear in mind, if you're trying to get it on, the difference from there to there is about 72. We've cut it so it's 71 to give it a bit of play, but things do warp, especially in the sun on allotment, so these are a little bit warped. So if it's a bit of a squeeze to get in, it's not that you've messed it up. It's just things have walked out of line on your raised beds, basically, that's it. So this fits on there like this, and then what we're going to do, in essence, is to keep it frost off. We will lift this off. You get the idea.
Yeah, so as John says, we'll put the fleece on top,
back down, basically,
and then put this on top of that.
That's basically how we'll do, and protect it and keep everything off, and we can water through it and everything. And then when it gets a bit warmer, we'll just have these cages on, and that'll stop the rabbits eating our lettuce. I tell you, I'm surprised at them lettuce.
Yeah, so that's it really there.
Well,
that's the first. Yeah, they have done really well. That's just like a mock-up one. We'll probably build. Well, we've got to build a few more. We've got to build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at a minimum.
So anything that we've got with height, like the peas we're growing, or I'm not growing, we will have 4 legs like this. We'll have a frame at the bottom like that with no mesh on, and then we'll have that on the top. We'll have mesh around it so those plants can grow up. So basically we're building 2 types of protective frame, I guess, for high grown plants and low growing, but that's where I guess that comes in.
Because you don't have that issue in there.
So you could grow your peas and anything in there in a raised bed, and you haven't got that issue with anything getting to it.
No.
So next year, when we do our peas, because they need something to climb up, we'll probably grow them in there. Do you think?
We could put some of these raised beds like literally in the corner in there.
Yeah, I think so. We can grow stuff in there, which will be a little bit easier for us, and just all the low growing stuff outside here. So that's something although it's obvious me saying it and I'm saying it to myself now, that's something we've a life lesson learned sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess a shelved fruit cage, it comes into its own in the end.
Yeah, so that's obviously, we built that first one, and as John says, we'll probably build a higher ones depending on what we're growing. But that's it really for today, isn't it? Up here,
that's
done everything we needed.
It's like the rain is on its way.
Yeah, so we have to call it a day.
Happy with that. If you're wondering what this stuff is, it's like a fleece. Verve is B&Q DIY.
Just to keep.
That's their own brand. There's some of it there. It does keep the frost off, keeps it warm. If Daniel just holds the camera down into the bed a minute, I think what has helped us is this bubble wrap, insulating it, because when we put our hands in there, these beds are really warm, aren't they?
Yeah, the soil's warm.
And I think it's really helped to move these plants along and keep them warm and safe. So
we've had this fleece, literally this fleece here on top for a week.
Just like these.
Just literally like that, and you put your hand in it and it's warm.
It's the bubble wrap, I'm sure it's keeping the heat in as well, so that might be worth thinking about when you're doing it, but make sure you've preserved your raised beds as well. And we've done, but we're going to have to do a bit more to these because they're cracking already. So
because it's pine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's softwood and it's drying out a bit with all the sun here. But anyway, I hope today's been an interesting watch, and if you'd like to see more videos coming up, please subscribe, because we've got lots going on here during the summer. We're doing things a little bit differently, but I think some of it makes sense.
We'll learn a lot by it.
It does make sense.
We're already
what we're
learning
doing.
stuff, aren't we?
We're trying to put all the work in now so we can come up and enjoy it, and we haven't got a lot of maintenance, grass cutting and things like that. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching once again.